start already.
Namaste, good evening and welcome to Amul and the School for European Pastry session this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Chef Anil Rohira. I am one of the co-founders and owners of the School for European Pastry, and I'm joined with our star chef, Chef Nimit Somaya.
Good evening everyone, my name is Nimit Somaya. I'm the executive pastry chef at CEP, and I hope everybody is safe at home. So today we are going to make something really exciting, and it's one of my favorite. I'm sure you can share.
Yeah,
Favorite.
this is a wonderful recipe, and since it's a friendship day, so we've been friends for over the years. We thought, why don't we work together to demonstrate our friendship, and so we are sharing with you one of our favorite recipes. This is an eggless recipe, of course, and wishing all our folks at home and our viewers a very happy friendship day, and congratulations to Team Amul for completing 100 days of online education. So this is a tremendous achievement. ऐसे मौके पर at a time like this, where you have served the society not only with your amazing products, but also a basis for education and enlightening what we can do with your amazing products. So today's session is for a nutty caramel tart. A nutty caramel tart. I hope you all have the recipe for the same. If not, we'll be happy. One of our colleagues is going to put it up on the screen for you. So maybe you can take a screenshot and save this recipe. If you still have a problem getting it, please let us know and we'll be happy to send you the recipe across. So here at the school, let me tell you a little bit about ourselves before we get into the recipe for today. We are primarily an educational facility, just like what Amul is doing now at a time like this. We have a 6 months diploma program for professionals. This is on-site, hands-on. We also have a 6 weeks eggless course, and we just, like Amul has, started our online training program. So we have about 2 classes a week. But more details you can get on our website. Please follow us at the School for European Pastry. Coming back to today's recipe, the incredible, the most fascinating, और जो बहुत ही खास बात है इस recipe की is for me the combination of all these different textures. We've got a short crust base, we've got a caramel flavor, we cook a caramel and then compounded with all these different nuts that are toasted differently to get the maximum crunch value from these nuts and the flavor profile. So we are going to start with the shortbread first. Chef Nimit can, I'll start with the shortbread. Chef, you can talk about the ingredients.
Sure. So we have butter, unsalted Amul butter, which is 90 gram. Then we have powdered sugar, which is also called an icing sugar. Then we have refined flour, which is 200 gram. Then we have almond powder. Then we have milk, 36 grams, and vanilla essence, 3 grams. Now I just want to tell you, this is the vanilla base. So we are adding almond powder. If you want to skip the almond powder, you can skip the almond powder. Instead, you can also add cocoa powder by 10% of flour. Taking out the 10% of flour and add cocoa powder into it. So you get a chocolate based tart. So now Chef Anil is mixing all the flour.
So folks, यहाँ पर जब हमने Chef Nimit ने आपको बताया, all the flours are in, the almond powder is in. The almond powder gives a nice additional flavor profile to the short crust, to the short dough. The butter we took is cold from the refrigerator. We are just going to flake it into the flour so it's evenly distributed. Once it's evenly distributed, the reason we are taking cold butter is so that the butter does not melt completely, because the butter melts, then it's going to be absorbed by the flour. So we do not want the butter to melt completely, and that will give the tart some kind of flakiness. So the tart है ना, थोड़ा सा हल्का रहेगा, खाने में बहुत ज़्यादा heavy नहीं लगेगा आपको. So hence we want to make sure that the butter is cold from the refrigerator, and then we just break it up into the flour. We have our liquid components here, जो है दूध और vanilla essence. Chef, please. Mix that.
So I've added vanilla essence and milk together. I'm going to add into this.
We have hi from Paris.
Hi from Paris.
Yeah, Veronique.
Veronique, thank you for joining us. To all the viewers in India, overseas, and of course now we know we have Paris attending too. Of course, if you are making this, with egg, then you will not need the milk. Okay, the milk is to replace the egg. So if you are going for an egg version, then you can use egg instead of the milk. Now this is very simple. You just work this till it comes together. This may take 2 or 3 minutes. Of course, आप ये घर पे अगर आपके पास मशीन है, आप मशीन में भी कर सकते हैं. अगर ज़्यादातर लोगों के पास घर पे KitchenAid वगैरह या hand blender नहीं होगा, तो this is very simple. This recipe you can make in a bowl by hand, and this is a very good base recipe for all the variations of for your tarts, even your pies. You can use a similar recipe for your pie bases. Of course, you can add a little bit more fat if you want it a little bit more flakier. So see, the dough is almost coming together now.
There's a question: how many eggs can we add instead of?
So
milk?
you will replace the milk. You will replace the milk by the amount of egg.
36 milk, so 1 egg.
So yeah, just about 1 egg in this recipe. Yeah. An egg is approximately 50 grams. So you see the dough is nicely coming together. Okay, here we go. And now we have 2 options. आप 2 चीज़ें कर सकते हैं. If you work in a warm room where you don't have air conditioning, यहाँ पर at the School for European Pastry we are very blessed. We have an incredible infrastructure, so our rooms are cold. If you have a cold room, you can roll this out right away. If your room is not cold, अगर आप regular या summer time में काम कर रहे हैं, so then you can lightly chill the dough. But यहाँ पर we have a nice marble which is cold, and the room is cool. So we'll take a plastic sheet. You can take acetate, OHP. We will take the dough, put it on here, put another sheet of plastic on top. Just lightly tap it, and we can start the rolling process. Now I'm not the best chapati roller. मैं घर पे ज़्यादातर चपाटीज मैं नहीं बनाता, कोई और बनाता है. And so my wife is better than me in rolling piece of dough out. But मैं पूरी कोशिश करूँगा कि we can keep this nice and even. Okay, about 3 millimeters is good. You put even strength. हल्के से gently you roll it. ये जो रोलिंग पिन्स हैं, जरूरी नहीं आप इसे इस्तेमाल करें. आपके घर में जो भी अवेलेबल है, you can use that. See, देखिए here it's very good now. I do not have to add extra flour, क्योंकि हम देखते हैं ज़्यादातर लोग they will dust flour, they will make the dough, move it. Here the flour needed is in the recipe, so there's no reason to dust more flour. There's no reason to add more flour, and this is also very clean. तो इसको हल्के से रोल करके about 3 millimeter. आप इसको अब रेफ्रिजरेटर में डाल दीजिए. You can put this in the refrigerator for it to chill, so we can cut it and form our tart shells. Okay, so now you see this was already. This is like watching TV, huh? Tamam, ready. It's ready, and this is cold. ये जो हम रेफ्रिजरेटर में भी डालेंगे, when you take it out, it's nice and firm.
There's a question: if there is no almond flour, can we substitute with flour?
Good question. If you have no almond flour, the reason for the almond flour is to give more flavor profile, a nice coarse almond texture and flavor of the almond. If you don't have almond flour, you can eliminate the almond flour. It's not a big deal. What we need to do here is, we have a tart shell. You don't have to have a detachable. आपके घर में जो भी है, regular straight tart shell is also okay. It's not necessary that you can separate it out, but this is what we have here. We have a tart and you have a ring. जो ring का size है वो tart से ज़्यादा थोड़ा बड़ा होना चाहिए. So chef, ये what is the size of this?
So the ring, the mold size is 10 centimeter and the ring size is 14 centimeter. So 2 centimeter and 2 centimeter from all the sides is extra.
Thanks, Nimit. So I have extra 2 centimeters. The reason for that is because we want to line the sides of the tart shell. Okay. So we take this. You get maximum number of shells from here. 2, 3, and I can get another one. 4. So this should give you 4 shells. And look, while it's cold, I can still very easily now take it out.
The recipe for shortbread is given by Akash Gupta on the comments.
Folks, please follow Akash Gupta on the comments. The recipes are posted by him. Akash Gupta is a very young talented chef that works for us at the school, and he has posted the recipes in case you're missing them. So see, the dough is nicely rolled out, beautiful even thickness, and now gently you work the dough into the shell, into the grain, into your mold. It doesn't matter what shape or size your mold is, okay? The technique will stay the same. You gently put the dough inside, halke haath se. You don't have to force it. If it's too cold and you force it, it's going to break, okay? So very gently you work in, and with your thumbs you make sure you go along the edges nicely so there's no air pockets. If you have air pockets, then your tart shell will crack, okay, or there will be bubbles inside and you won't have a nice even base on your tart. You can now, you see it's nicely all the way inside, okay. Now if there is any excess, you can trim it out now, or you can refrigerate it. When the butter is firmer, you get a nice clean cut, but we can do it right away. So all the excess dough is trimmed, and look, I have a nice shell, evenly lined, even thickness, all the way to the bottom and all the way along the edges. This we will now bake. You see, we have these done earlier, and when it's cold, the edges are nice and sharp, so it cuts very easily. A nice sharp knife, and very lightly just trim the excess off. इससे क्या होगा is we are assured that we have very crisp edge, very crisp finish. There's another example. And now we will take this and we will bake it in an oven. In your recipe you have 170. Now you can go a little bit lower if you want. If you want a nice long crisp baking, then you can go at 160. So between 160 and 170, this will take about 10 to 15 minutes. If the temperature is lower, then maybe even 20. So friends, people always ask, Chef, आप मुझे बताइए कितना टाइम लगेगा, कितनी देर के लिए जाएगा, कितने टेम्परेचर पे जाएगा. It's very subjective. ये बिल्कुल आपके oven के मदार है. मतलब if you have to know your oven. अब जब एक दो बार ये बेक कर लेंगे ना, तो आपको एक अंदाज़ा हो जाएगा कि मेरा oven में ये ठीक से बेक होने के लिए करीबन बस 12-15-20 मिनट लगेंगे. So it's kind of a variable, okay? So please do not go with the exact timing that the school gives you. You're going to have to be friendly to your oven to figure this out. Okay, so while my tarts are going to be baked in the oven, the shortbreads in the oven, we're going to make the caramel filling. Okay, so for the caramel filling, you see, जब आप recipe देखेंगे, you have a whole bunch of nuts, almonds, hazelnuts, pecans, pistachio. All these nuts, my friends, have different sizes and different intensities of flavor. So बहुत ज़रूरी है कि आप हर ये variety of nuts आप अलग से उनको रोस्ट कीजिए. ऐसे नहीं कि आप एक ट्रे पे आपने बादाम डाल दिए, हेज़लनट्स, पीकान्स, पिस्ताशियो डाल दिए, क्योंकि अगर आप पिस्ताशियो और आमंड्स और हेज़लनट्स को एक साथ रोस्ट करेंगे तो आपके पिस्ताशियो जो है वो बर्न हो जाएंगे, वो जल जाएंगे. The pistachios will roast much faster than the almonds and the hazelnuts. So folks, please roast each species, each kind, each variety of nuts separately, so that you do not get a lot of color, but you just freshen and crisp the nut. Okay, so you get the maximum value in terms of flavor. So we will start the caramel. So Chef Nimit is going to make what we call a wet caramel. So उसके लिए सबसे पहले you put the water and you put the sugar in the pan. Okay. Now there are two kinds of caramels. One is what Chef Nimit is doing, where we add a little bit of water and start cooking the sugar. And the other caramel is a dry caramel. As the word suggests, the dry caramel is without any water and the wet caramel is with water. The advantage of a wet caramel is you are assuring yourself of even caramelization. अगर आप ड्राई कैरमल बनाएंगे, अगर आप चीनी को बिना कोई पानी डाले आप पकाएंगे, तो the sugar, the melting and the caramelization is going to be very uneven depending on the flame size, the pot size, the amount of sugar you have in the pan. So hence we prefer that to control the caramelization. खासकर अगर आप पहली बार बना रहे हो ये, so we would request you to make a wet caramel. So while Chef Nimit is going to caramelize our sugar, we have butter here. Butter and caramel and salt is an incredible combination. आप चाहे एक tart ले लें, you take a petit gâteau, you take an entremet, you take a praline, you take any variation of baking and pastry. This is a classic combination. Sugar or caramel, salt and butter. Brilliant. अगर आप यहाँ होते, you would really enjoy the perfume of the caramelization, and then we are going to deglaze with Amul milk, whole milk, which is, what is the fat content? 3.
Amul whole milk is
3.5. 4. That's gold. That is gold. Amul gold we like is 4.5% milk fat. Regular milk is around, I believe, 3.5% fat. And then we are using Amul butter, folks. Here we are using Amul butter because this will give us a very good flavor combined with the caramel. So we have started the cooking process. You see the sugar is bubbling now, and
Recipes are in the comments. They are asking for recipes. Akash has put the recipes in the comments.
folks, please follow or please look at Akash Gupta's post. He has forwarded the recipes in the chat, so you can pick it up from there. Okay. While the caramel is being cooked, friends, two things are happening. I have the butter here, which is at room temperature. ये room temperature पर है butter. We have the salt. Salt हम अभी नहीं डालेंगे, हम इसको बाद में डालेंगे जब caramel ready हो जाएगा. And I have cream in the microwave. The cream, आपके recipe जो cream amount लिखा हुआ है, that is 25% fat, 80 grams of fresh cream. This is the Amul 25% fat cream.
What are you applying with brush and why are you applying it with brush?
Very good. The reason for brushing down the sides is to make sure there are no sugar crystals on the side of the pan. Because अगर pan के पास, अगर pan के side पे crystals, अगर आप crystals जम जाते हैं, तो that might trigger a crystallization process. वो ठीक नहीं रहेगा. इसलिए हम sides brush करते हैं, sugar को थोड़ा stir करेंगे, और जो क्रीम है वो माइक्रोवेव में गर्म हो रही है. Friends, the cream has to be warm. क्रीम का गर्म होना बहुत ही जरूरी है. If the cream is not hot, okay, then the caramel will explode. Okay, so ये जो क्रीम है, ये गर्म है. थोड़ा और गर्म कर सकता हूँ इसे मैं. आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ से धुआं आ रहा है. You seeing a smoke here. Beautiful aroma profiles. The caramel is ready. We are going to deglaze it with cream. This cream is hot. This process is called deglazing. We will lower the temperature now and start adding the cream slowly. You see the cream. This is the moisture from the cream because the caramel is hot. Beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful, fascinating sights in pastry, making a caramel and then deglazing it. And now the cream is in, we will start adding the butter in slowly. This is the Amul butter we are adding. Beautiful fragrance of dairy, fantastic. You have Amul cream, you have Amul butter. And you have Chef Nimit cooking. Cannot get better than that. Okay? Fantastic. And now, just when the butter is in, okay, I told you that we have the cream hot, butter at room temperature, and now we have a whole assortment of nuts that is warm in the oven. You have to keep the nuts warm, because if the nuts are not warm, when you put them in the caramel will seize. Okay, so the nuts are just roasted, they are warm right out of the oven. We are going to add the sea salt now.
They are asking what is the temperature right now
Of the caramel. It's hot, very hot. The important thing is not the temperature of the caramel. The temperature of the caramel is important when you first cook it before you deglaze it. That temperature is about 180 Celsius. It's almost ready. What we'll do is we will take our pre-baked tart shells. You see beautiful tart shells that we made. We have them for you baked, and we are going to add the nuts in. Okay, okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's ready.
Now we will make sure we cook it a little bit, because the nuts were a little cooler than the caramel. So we can just slow this down, make sure the caramel is hot, make sure it's covering every nut. Okay, wonderful. And now we will take it and we can ladle it out, or we can pour it into the So we are going to make sure that we separate the base. So now you have the tart shell. You see, it's a very, very simple recipe. What I like is that this you can make. See how beautiful that is. Perfect. Wow. You keep the flame on, okay? While you're doing this, you want to make sure that.
is the butter salted or unsalted?
Unsalted.
Okay, good question. Excellent question. Is the butter salted or unsalted? If you are going to use salted butter, then please reduce the salt amount in the caramel, the salt that we put in. Okay? We like to control the kind of salt, and we like to control the quantity of salt. Hence we use unsalted butter. But if you cannot get unsalted butter, friends, you can use salted butter. Just reduce the salt amount. I'm telling you, these aroma profiles are brilliant. Okay, here we go. We have time to spread it nice and even. You see, if the nuts were too cold, then it would be hard for us you would not have this working time. So you can get a nice, beautiful, and the caramel is nice where it's not, the aromas are beautiful. The proportion of nut to caramel is just right, where you have enough time to spread it in the tart before it sets.
Looking delicious.
Looking delicious? Believe me, this tastes delicious too. This does not last for more than 15 minutes after it's made. So friends, I would recommend, if you are making this for your loved ones for Raksha Bandhan, otherwise this is a good recipe to make a little bit a la menu. So you make it, you see it doesn't take time. In 20 minutes we are done making the recipe. Now the beautiful thing is, you make this. Look, I still have time to work with this. The texture is still pourable. Okay, so I have all the time in the world to spread it. So I can make 8, 10, 20 pieces depending on how many guests I'm serving. So if I have Put some more.
Very well explained. Looks yummy.
I'm telling you, this is my go-to recipe. I mean, we love this here at the school. And if you have guests at home, if you have to make dessert, and of course, you know, being pastry chefs, having a school, people expect, if they come to a house, they say, अरे शेफ के घर जा रहे हैं खाने पे डेजर्ट में कुछ तो अच्छा ही होगा, और वो स्ट्रेस हो जाता है यार कभी कभार कि अभी लोग आ रहे हैं खाने पे, उनको क्या बना के खिलाएं. This tart recipe that we have shared with you is my go-to recipe. आप इसमें कुछ भी, you can use this as a case, a beautiful flavor profile with the almond flour, with the Amul butter, and you can fill it with a ganache, with a chocolate ganache. Maybe we can share that with you another time. You fill it with the chocolate ganache, you fill it with the lemon curd, you fill it with the raspberry filling, you can do anything. And this specific one, look, the caramel has set, it sets really fast, and you just let it sit at room temperature for 10-15 minutes. Don't serve it right now because of course the caramel is very hot and somebody may burn themselves, but let it rest for 15-20 minutes and then serve it with a scoop of vanilla ice cream. You're at heaven.
There's a question, can we keep the left out caramel, the extra caramel filling?
Super question. This filling you can keep, okay, and if you need to use it again, then you can just rewarm it in the microwave or go back on the flame, but you have to be careful, otherwise it will burn if you're not too careful with stirring it. But the aroma, the flavor profiles in this room here now are fantastic. Last thing, finishing touches to finish this, what we can do is we have some powdered sugar. We will take some powdered sugar, just dust it. So what I would not recommend, my friends, is making this dessert. आपके घर फ्रेंड्स आ रहे हैं, दोस्त आ रहे हैं, आप ये खास चीज़ बना रहे हैं, ऐसे नहीं कि मैं अभी चलो यार 5 बजे ये बना के मैं फ्रिज में रख दूँ और आपको 10-11 बजे मैं सर्व करूँगा. इट्स नॉट द बेस्ट थिंग, क्योंकि आपने कैरमल बनाया हुआ है, उसमें बटर है, उसमें क्रीम है. You have taken all this time to develop the crunch, the crispiness in the tart shell with the nuts, and then you put in all the effort and you put this away in the refrigerator. What's going to happen is the humidity in the refrigerator will be absorbed by the sugar, the caramel. The caramel will get sticky, the nuts will get less crunchier, and the tart shell, if you keep for way long or keep it overnight, then may tend to get a little soft. So best thing is, even if I'm making this now, and let's say I go home in 2 hours, we finish work, we get ready for another Amul and Sep demonstration for tomorrow. Guys, don't forget to join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. We have yet another amazing recipe, and again day after tomorrow for yet another recipe. So what you do is you make the tart, you fill it with the caramel, and even if you have guests tonight and you want to serve after dinner, keep this at room temperature. Do not refrigerate this. So it will stay fresh, it will stay crispier, you will get best results from this. And a finishing touch, I have a little bit of sea salt. I'm going to sprinkle it on top for garnish. A little bit on this one here. Okay, and here we go. I invite you for dinner tonight at my place if you want to enjoy the tarts. How about that? Okay. Works. And of course, my friends, you can use the choice of nuts. You can put even maybe some cranberries, some raisins if you like the texture of soft and crunchy. It's endless opportunities. Even with the caramel, you can make a slightly bitter caramel, a slightly sweet caramel. We like to cook our caramel to about 180 before we add the cream and the butter. Chef Nimit, what do you think about this?
It's really beautiful, Chef. It's one of my favorite. Caramel and nuts really go well, and on top of it there is an almond sweet paste, so it's like a heaven. So
folks, just for you, I'm going to cut one here so you can see that it holds good. We just made this right in front and the caramel is starting to set, okay? But I would not eat it yet because the caramel is still hot. So we're going to be a little patient and we'll enjoy this thinking of you in a little bit, okay? So thank you for joining us on behalf of the entire team, on behalf of Chef Vikas Bagul, myself and the SEP team. We want to thank you for joining us on this wonderful Friendship Day. I hope our friendship continues and we see you again soon, either personally at the school or if not, at least for our online sessions. If the least is, see you tomorrow evening at 4 o'clock for the next session with Amul. Alright folks, so thanks for tuning in, thanks for joining us. On behalf of all of us here, it's goodbye.